You can sell somebody with a checkbook on a one-on-one relationship because it's actually not the relationship that sells. It's the trust. See, the speed of trust is the speed of sale. And so developing a relationship with one person, you can only get them to buy as big as what? Their checkbook. And big organizations don't allow people to have big checkbooks anymore. Not alone. Not without other people there. And besides that, the overall organizations are more complex. They've got supply chain management, enterprise resource planning, customer relationship management systems, all these IT systems, and all of these practices that work through the organization, just-in-time inventory, all the specs that are in there, make it impossible for anybody to get a big deal done alone. So you've got two choices. Because you've probably done what I've done, right? You've gone into somebody and said, I'd like to ask you, who's the decision maker, right? And they always say, I am. And we know they're not. Because the minute the proposal comes in, what do they say? Well, I'm going to have to run this by somebody. You know, I like to spend a little bit of time with the guys from IT and see what they say, right? If you're going to do a big deal, you're going to need a big table. Because you're going to need all the people in the organization who are going to touch this deal. Because Mr. Hero, your buyer, who's so excited about what you have to offer, he's fired up. Can't wait to have what you've got. And everybody else in the organization looks at you as one of two things, and probably both. You look like either work or risk or both. And so their goal is to do what? Get him distracted and push him off about bringing you on board. That's what it sounds like, except they don't go ahead and challenge him. They don't go ahead and say to him, hey, listen, we shouldn't do this. This is a stupid idea. They say, I'm going to tell you what, boss. This is a great idea. This is exactly what we ought to do. Once we get that Oracle upgrade in 2011, let's start on this. As soon as we get the cultures together from our recent merger and acquisition, let's start on this. As soon as the budgeting cycle's over, let's start on this. It's always yes, later. So here's my advice to you. You need to start off with the bigger buyer's table in mind. Who are you going to touch in the sales process? Who can shoot you at the water cooler over email, by voicemail, in the hallway? Because you got two choices. You're going to deal with those people. And you can either deal with them in the bright white lights of the ring, or you can deal with them in the cold dark shadows of the alley. How many of you have gotten a deal cut off from somebody you never met? Most of us. Because we didn't bring them to the room because we thought the relationship was going to be enough. But it is the speed of trust that dictates the level of sale. And you're going to need a lot more trust from an organization rather than one person if you're going to get the kinds of deals that are transformational, the kinds of deals that are going to go ahead and give you your break. Let's talk about the fourth best practice, which is thinking like a whale. When you sell to bigger companies than you go out in the marketplace and you sell those bigger companies, you probably sell things like service, yes? You sell that you are responsive and nimble and fast, yes? You sell that you're innovative, right? You sell that they're going to have better access and more leverage to the key players in your organization than your big competitors. That's what you tell them, right? It's true, isn't it? All the things I just said are true. Innovation is baked in small batches. They're absolutely going to go ahead and become your most important customer. You'll take all their phone calls and voicemail, and you're going to go ahead and give them quick, prompt, easy responses to make their life better. Big companies, small companies, mid-sized companies love all of that. But then the big companies doesn't buy from you. They said they loved you. They said that they wanted to go ahead and do business with you. And then at the last minute, they gave you a no. See, because big companies buy from big companies because they feel like those guys are safer. They're stable. They have more resources. No one got fired for buying from IBM. That's an old saw. When you go pitch small deals, your phenomenal innovation, responsiveness, and all the other good qualities about your business, small companies can buy that. But big companies get interested in that, but in the end, they buy based upon fear. Most importantly, they buy based upon whether they are afraid of you. See, there's 4 other kinds of buying that they can do that are safer than buying from you. They could stay with the company who's currently providing them the services. That's an easy decision. They could go ahead and try and take whatever it is that you do in-house. They could go ahead and buy from the biggest provider in the industry, or they can buy from the cheapest provider in the industry. All 4 of those are easier than buying from you, because all 4 of them, they can defend later. When you're selling to a big company, it's not just good enough to be the best. It should be, but you will lose if all you bring to the table is the idea that you are the best provider of what you offer. You not only have to be the best, you have to be the safest. And for them, your buyers have to be able to sell and defend that decision later when you're not there. So when you think like a whale, don't think about all your great advantages. Think about what are their fears. Let's go ahead and go to our last idea as far as best practices go. And that's that idea of hunting heavy. Recently, I went ahead and bought a copier. Now, I've got a small consulting firm. I bought a copier. And so, I didn't buy like a room of printing. I bought a copier. And I'm looking at Xerox. I'm looking at the other guys that are out there. And they show up. 4 guys to sell my company a copier. It's like a clown car. They all roll out. And they come in there. I got a network guy. I got a print-on-demand guy. I've got a service technician guy. And there's a 4th guy. I don't know what the 4th guy was there for. I think he drove. But the fact of the matter is that those folks for my business, big brand name, came in the door hunting heavy. They brought other resources to the table, to the conversation, that then went ahead and let me know that they could go ahead and provide the advantages that a small company could provide, and then all the resources to take the fear off the table of a big company. Biggest deal I ever had an opportunity to go ahead and work on and land was a $400 million contract. Does that sound like a good-sized contract to you? Yeah. Over 3 years, and then it would follow on after those 3 years. So big deal. And give a little context, my company was a little $42 million company. So this was going to be a ginormous kind of an account. And we were pitching against a couple of companies you might have heard, EDS, IBM. You guys have heard of those guys. And so we're a little tiny speck. We go into this pitch, and the company who wanted to hire us liked us because what? We had innovation. They knew that they were going to get our full attention. They liked our people and trusted our experience. They were excited about the kinds of things that we could bring to the table in the conversation. And yet we knew they weren't going to go ahead and buy from us when we first met with them. We knew they weren't going to buy from us because we were too small. So why the hell were we in the meetings? Why did they keep meeting with us? Well, I think it's called free consulting. Have you ever given away free consulting? If you go ahead and provide designs, if you go ahead and answer RFPs, if you go ahead and provide pricing, if you go ahead and give brochures, if you have an active website that has case studies in it, you are providing out to the marketplace. In any case that you do not land a sale because of those resources, you're providing free consulting. And that's what they were using us for. Because they wanted all that innovation and that idea and et cetera, so that they could what? Take all those ideas, rewrite their service agreement, and then give it to the company who they were going to actually do the business with and make them live to our ideas. How do we win it? Well, we went out and got an enormous bank and a large IT company and a large staffing company who were able to go ahead and take our little company and go ahead and make us into a really big company. See, by doing that, we took all the fear off the table. We were leveraging the brands of these much, much bigger companies as our partners in this conversation. And when we did that, what happened was that the whale said, I get the best of both worlds. But as small companies, we have a really bad habit. We're trying to do everything solo. We go ahead and look, what is the size of my hunt team? Well, it's just me and my spouse, and maybe I can bring a friend in or one employee. And my answer is you're not going to win the big deals hunting alone. You've got to go ahead and bring in the kinds of resources and partners that give you that sense of stability and size and scale. In our case, by doing that, we were able to land that $400 million piece of business, and we were able to go ahead and help that particular company. You say, Tom, how am I going to go get those resources? Why is the banker coming with you? And why is the IT company coming? Why are these guys even wasting their time with a little $42 million company? I'll tell you why. Because those guys didn't have another $400 million deal they were working on that Thursday. Everybody was going to win. Now, you might imagine how this goes, right? I mean, the fact of the matter is we go back out, and it's not a $400 million deal anymore because the banker goes back, and he tells everybody that he landed a $400 million deal. And the IT company says they landed a $400 million deal, and the staffing company says they landed a $400 million deal. Added up, it's a $1.6 billion deal now. It's like government math. So that's why it's so important that you focus on less than 5% of your marketplace. At the very first best practice that we talked about was the idea of focus. The way that you get the courage to hunt heavy is by hunting less, not more. By knowing that instead of pitching 100 potential prospects, you're going to pitch 5. By identifying up front what is my 2-card strategy that's going to give me the chance to disqualify all of those accounts that will trap me as either with a black hole prospect or a toxic client. By eliminating them up front, I can then do what? I can bring my team together, my heavy hunt team. I can spend the time to go ahead and get a much bigger buyer's table. And I can get the opportunity to do what? Talk whale language around fear and advantage. I have the opportunity to go ahead and talk whale language around time, money, and risk. For the entrepreneurs here in the room tonight, what my true goal is for you is that you have the chance to get out there, exercise some of these particular tactics that we're talking about, and go land your biggest deal ever. And it's funny, everybody's got a biggest deal that they've ever closed. If you think back in your life, you've got your biggest deal. I mean, my daughter's 7 years old, and last week she closed her biggest deal ever. All right? She sold $627.50 of popcorn for fundraising in her school. And I spent the most money I've ever spent for popcorn in my entire life. It's her biggest deal ever, isn't it? Think for yourselves. I don't care whether it was popcorn, or you just went ahead and sold a building, or you went ahead and cut a deal with Walmart to go ahead and carry your product. Every one of us in this room has a biggest deal ever. But the question you got to ask yourself is your biggest deal ever behind you or ahead of you? Is your strategy for 2010 to land your biggest deal ever? To get out there in the marketplace, talk to as many people as possible, and hope? Do you have no better map than that? Or do you believe that you can actually, intentionally, effectively plot out the course to your biggest deal ever in 2010? And then repeat that process every cycle in your business. Because that is how you transform yourself into an explosive growth, rock star entrepreneurial company, is by landing those successive biggest deals ever. And my wish for you is that that is exactly what you do. Because I know what it's like to be at a startup phase, and it's exciting and exhausting. It is thrilling and scary. And there's a point that you believe, that you hope out in the future, that if I could just get there, I'll get to have an exhale of breath, a little bit of time on the weekend. If I could just have a little bit more people, because I knew that I had the consistent business to go ahead and justify hiring some staff to help me out. And if you're going to get to that point, you can't keep doing small things. You're going to need whales. In my case, I have had the opportunity, because of what I do, to every day get up and do exactly what I love doing. And it's my hope for you that you are, as entrepreneurs right now, getting up every single day and doing exactly what you love doing. So for me to be with you is truly a gift this evening. So I just want to tell you thank you very much for the gift of your time.